I know
I
everyone
want to
online
play
claims
a
they found a
game with
hidden
you.
Sonic level, but what happened to me wasn't a glitch or Easter egg, it was a warning. Because there's a level in that game, a level no developer put there, a level that unlocks itself when it wants something from you. And when I entered it, Sonic was already standing still in the center, staring at me. Like he had been waiting. Like he knew I was coming. Like I was the final piece of something he needed, something alive. Whatever you do, if the game asks you to unlock the forbidden level, don't. I barely survived it. And I don't think I escaped all of it. Some nights, I hear something tapping at my door in 3 slow knocks, the same rhythm the level used to load. I never expected a childhood game to ruin my life. I never expected Sonic to be the thing that haunts me. But here I am, writing this on a cracked laptop, lights flickering like the apartment is breathing, praying this story gets out before the knocking starts again. Because once it starts, you can't make it stop. Let me go back to the night everything began. I was cleaning out my late brother's old room. He passed away 3 months earlier in what the police called an accident, but something about his death never sat right with me. He had no injuries, no wounds, no signs of struggle, just gone, eyes wide open. His room had been untouched since the funeral, clothes still on the floor, posters peeling, controller on the bed. I didn't want to be in there, but I had to eventually. And that's when I found it. A dusty Sega cartridge inside a box labeled in my brother's handwriting. Do not play, ever. Exactly like that. The dramatic capitalization would have made me laugh as a kid, but now it made my stomach drop. The label on the cartridge was wrong too. Instead of Sonic the Hedgehog, it said something else, handwritten in messy black marker. Sonic. Forbidden level unlocked. I stared at that cartridge way longer than I should have. My brother wasn't the type to prank. He didn't joke. Especially not like this. And yet something about it felt familiar. Something like déjà vu, but twisted. I wish I had thrown it away. I wish I had burned it. But curiosity is a curse, and that night I was stupid enough to obey it. I wiped the cartridge clean, plugged in the old console, and the TV flickered to life. The startup screen was different. Dark blue, dimmer, almost suffocating. The Sega logo didn't scream like usual, it whispered. More like breathed. Then the main menu loaded, and my heart almost stopped. There was only one option. Continue what he started. Not start game. Not load game. Not even options. Just that. Like it knew my brother. Like it had been waiting for me. But the real terror didn't hit until I tried to move the cursor, and my controller didn't respond. Not in a glitch way, but in a deliberate way. The cursor moved on its own, slowly dragging downward, highlighting the only option and clicking it. The TV cut to black. For a few seconds, there was nothing. Then a level loaded. But it wasn't a Sonic level I recognized. The sky was pitch black. The ground was a dusty, gray wasteland with long claw marks carved into it. The background was an endless fog that moved like something breathing. And Sonic was there. Not running. Not smiling. Not doing his idle animation. Just standing. Facing the screen. Facing me. His eyes weren't normal either. They weren't the classic cartoon ones. They were dim. Hollow. Like human eyes with all the life drained out. I felt a pulse of pressure in my chest. Like something had grabbed my lungs. Then the game spoke. Not text. Not sound effects. A voice, a deep, distorted version of my brother's voice. You shouldn't have come here. I froze. My skin went cold. The room felt smaller. I tried to turn off the console. The button wouldn't depress. I tried to unplug the TV. The cord was stuck. The air in the room got heavy. Thick. Like I was breathing in dust. On screen, Sonic tilted his head slowly, unnaturally, like a puppet being bent by invisible hands. His mouth stretched into a thin, unnatural smile. Then the world around him changed. The fog in the background began to spin. The ground began to crack. Long shadows crawled out of the fissures like fingers reaching toward him. And then something stepped out of the fog behind Sonic. Not a sprite. Not a character. Something tall. Something with a shape that almost looked human, except its limbs bent in ways bones shouldn't. Its body was made of static, black, shifting static, as if something had torn a hole into the game and filled it with noise. The static man leaned down towards Sonic. And Sonic, my childhood hero, leaned back up at him. Like they were communicating. Like they knew each other. I heard whispering fill the room. Not from the speakers. From behind me. I spun around. No one was there. But the whispering got louder. And the game whispered too, in a voice that was half my brother, half something wrong. He unlocked the level. Now you unlocked the door. Then Sonic turned. Not in animation, but like the sprite physically twisted toward the screen. His eyes were glowing now. Bright. Yellow. And then he stepped toward the camera. Not the usual, walk closer animation. He moved in a way the game engine shouldn't allow. Like he glided. Like he was pushing through something. And every step he took, the room got colder. The whispering grew louder. I could hear breathing behind me. I could hear footsteps on the floor, soft and slow. Something was in the room with me. And then Sonic pressed his face against the camera, filling the entire screen. His mouth opened, stretching too wide. The pixelated teeth were long. Sharp. He whispered. He tried to run. Now it's your turn. My screen went black. The console hissed. And something breathed down the back of my neck. I thought I was safe. I truly did. After the nightmare of the forbidden level, after seeing Sonic in ways no human eyes were meant to witness, I convinced myself that locking the cartridge in a box, burying it in the back of my closet, would be enough. I told myself it was over. My brother's warnings, the scribbled notes, the frantic scribbles about never unlock it. I'd survived. I'd ignored it, and that should have been enough. But it wasn't. It started subtly. At first, I didn't even recognize the signs. A shadow in the corner of my eye that wasn't supposed to be there. A faint tapping behind my door that sounded like claws scratching the wood. The humming of my console at night, even when it wasn't plugged in. I chalked it up to stress, paranoia, my mind twisting what it wanted into ghost stories. Then the cartridge reappeared. I know it sounds impossible. I threw that thing in a dumpster. I left it in a box in the attic. I even considered burning it once. And yet, one rainy evening, I opened my apartment door to find it sitting neatly on the doormat, dry, dust-free, almost waiting for me. There was no note, no footprints, no evidence anyone had been there, just the cursed little cartridge staring at me like a predator. My hands shook as I picked it up. Every instinct screamed at me to drop it, smash it, leave it for the rain to swallow. But curiosity, stupid, obsessive curiosity, won. I took it inside, placed it on the coffee table, and stared at it. My apartment was silent, dimly lit by the flickering streetlight outside. Nothing was moving. Nothing was alive. And yet, I felt it. Something in the air shifted. I plugged it into the old console I kept in the living room. At first, it seemed normal. Sonic ran across the screen, rings sparkling, the familiar upbeat music playing. My heart eased, just slightly. Maybe it was dormant this time. Maybe my imagination had turned the first encounter into something worse than it really was. Maybe. I was wrong. Almost immediately, the glitches began. Shadows moved across the landscape in impossible directions. Rings warped into tiny faces, screaming silently. The music slowed, warped into low static, distorted beyond recognition. And then the text appeared, jagged, crimson, stretching across the screen. You belong to me. I froze. My hands shook violently as Sonic's sprite stopped, head tilting unnaturally, eyes flashing black and yellow. For the first time, I realized this wasn't just a game. This wasn't just a program designed for fun. Something inside that cartridge was alive. Something that had been waiting, and now it was aware of me. I tried to turn off the console. Nothing. I pulled the plug. The TV screen flared with static, then returned to show my apartment, but warped, distorted. My furniture twisted in impossible angles. Shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls, crawling as if they had their own life. And in the corner, crouched in one of those warped shadows, was Sonic. EXE. His grin was impossibly wide, his eyes glinting yellow, fixed directly on me. A scratching noise began from the far end of the room. Soft at first, then louder, deliberate pacing. My apartment was small. There was no one else there. I spun around. Nothing. But the sound persisted, moving in impossible ways, echoing as if multiple people, or creatures, were circling me at once.
Panic set in.
I ran toward the door, hoping to escape. But it slammed shut violently before I could reach it. My hands rattled the handle. My lungs burned as I tried to scream. The scratching became more frenzied, circling me, coming from the floor, the walls, even the ceiling. And then I heard the whispering. It wasn't from the speakers. It wasn't coming from the TV. It was inside my head. Come play forever. I bolted to the bedroom, slamming the door behind me and locking it. I hid under the bed, covering my ears. My vision caught fleeting movements, blue streaks gliding across the floor, shadows bending impossibly around corners. Every reflection, mirror, window, the polished surface of my desk showed him closer than reality should allow. Hours passed, though I have no idea how many. Time lost all meaning. The room twisted around me. Walls expanded and contracted. The floor warped under me. The scratching and whispers never stopped. And then he appeared. Sonic. EXE crouched on the ceiling. Not on the TV. Not in the game. On the ceiling, grinning. The perspective was wrong. Impossible. And yet, I could see him, clearly, moving in a way a sprite never could. The console, still on the floor, flared with static. The screen showed an image of me, lying beneath the bed. But the face staring back at me wasn't just terrified. It was distorted, corrupted, screaming silently. The whispers rose into manic laughter, echoing in every corner of my mind. I tried to leave. I tried to escape, but the apartment itself seemed alive. Doors vanished, hallways elongated, corners bent at impossible angles. Sonic. EXE glided through the warped space, always just behind, grinning wider and wider, whispering, "You can't leave. You can't hide. Play with me." The scratching became claws. The whispering became voices, multiple voices, all chanting, echoing, circling. I tripped, fell to the floor, and the cartridge moved on its own, sliding toward me like it had weight, like it had intent. The screen flared again, and I saw dozens of distorted images of myself. Each one screaming silently, trapped inside the game, trapped in the apartment, trapped in the same nightmare. I blacked out. When I woke, sunlight filtered through the blinds. The apartment looked normal. The cartridge sat innocently on the table, the console off. Nothing had moved. My heart raced, adrenaline pumping, but everything seemed fine.
Too fine.
Weeks passed. I avoided the apartment at night. I tried to throw the cartridge away. I tried to smash it, but it always came back. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those hollow, yellow eyes. I heard the scratching, the whispering, the laughter. And then the marks started appearing. Claw marks in circles on the floor, smears of blue fur on walls and ceilings. Objects subtly moved when I wasn't looking. I began sleeping in the living room, but even there, the feeling never left. Sonic. EXE wasn't just in the game anymore. He was in my apartment.
My space.
My life. Last night, I woke to a sound I'll never forget. 3 slow knocks. The exact rhythm the forbidden level used to load. My apartment was empty. The TV off. The cartridge on the table. And yet, I heard it clearly. 3 knocks. 3 knocks. 3 knocks. And a whisper, soft, cruel, unmistakable. "You can't hide. Not anymore." I don't know what he wants. I don't know how to stop him. I don't even know if this is the end. All I know is that Sonic.exe is real. He doesn't stay in games. He doesn't wait politely. He follows. And if you ever see a level you're not supposed to unlock, a cartridge that doesn't belong to you, or a shadow that moves too fast across the floor, run. Because once it knows you, it never forgets.
And it will come for you.
I should have destroyed it. I really should have. But like every idiot before me, I convinced myself I could control it, that I could play one last time and be done. That curiosity would not be punished. I was wrong. It started as a normal evening. I was alone in my apartment, rain drumming against the windows, the familiar hum of the city outside barely audible. My old console sat on the TV stand, untouched for months. Next to it, the cursed cartridge waited, lying innocently, almost smugly. I knew I shouldn't touch it. I knew better. But something inside me ached to see it again, to understand. I plugged it in. The startup screen glitched instantly. The colors were wrong, too bright, too dark, too sharp all at once. The music played backward at a high pitch. Then the menu loaded. Only one option appeared. Return to what you started. My hands trembled. I should have walked away. I should have smashed it. But I pressed start. The screen went black. Then it flickered into the forbidden level. The sky was a roiling mass of shadows. The ground beneath Sonic was cracked and dry, etched with claw marks. Fog rolled across the landscape, moving like living smoke. And there he was. Sonic.exe, not running, not idle, just staring. His eyes glowed a horrific yellow. His grin stretched wider than reality should allow. And I swear, for the first time, he wasn't a sprite. He was alive. The first whispers started then, low and soft. Not from the TV. Not from the console. From inside my head. You can't hide. You can't leave. Play with me. I tried to turn off the console. The power button didn't respond. The TV's plug wouldn't budge. The screen flickered violently. And then, I heard it. Scratching.
Not faint this time.
Heavy, deliberate. Coming from behind me. I spun around. Empty room. I backed into the corner. The scratching moved around the room in impossible ways, echoing off the walls, circling, pacing. And then I saw movement. A streak of blue across the floor. Fast, too fast, impossible. Sonic.exe real.
Solid.
Or, at least, something pretending to be. I ran. The apartment doors vanished. Hallways stretched impossibly long. Corners twisted. Shadows moved independently of their sources. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. You can't escape. You unlocked me. Now I own you. I stumbled into the bedroom and hid under the bed. The lights flickered. The shadows on the walls twisted into impossible shapes. Sonic.exe crouched on the ceiling, his grin wider than any human mouth could stretch. He glided along the surface, faster than physics should allow. The console, still on the living room floor, flashed. The screen showed me, lying beneath the bed, screaming silently. Multiple versions of me, corrupted, distorted, trapped inside the cartridge's world. I realized then that the game was no longer on the console. It was in my apartment. It had never been confined to pixels or code. The scratching became claws. The whispering became voices. Multiple voices, chanting, echoing. I could feel it circling me, closing in. Then, suddenly, silence. I dared to peek. The apartment looked normal. The console was off. The cartridge lay on the table. Nothing had moved. Nothing was there. I laughed shakily, trying to convince myself it was over. That maybe this time I had survived. But then the sign started. Blue scratches appeared on the floor in circular patterns. The walls were smudged with a faint blue fur I didn't recognize. Objects subtly moved when I wasn't looking. At night, I could hear soft footsteps pacing, whispers chanting my name. And every so often, the TV flickers on its own, showing Sonic.exe standing somewhere in the room, grinning. Last night, I woke to a sound I'll never forget. 3 slow knocks. On my bedroom door. The exact rhythm the forbidden level used to load. I didn't move. I couldn't. Then a whisper. Clear as day. You can't hide.
Not now.
Not ever. I don't know what he wants. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know if anyone ever will. All I know is that Sonic.exe doesn't belong in the game anymore. He belongs in the shadows, in the corners, in your mind. And if you ever see a level you're not supposed to unlock, a cartridge that doesn't belong to you, don't touch it. Don't press start. Because once he's aware of you, he never forgets. And he waits.